like basketball. The Pistons are 2-0 in 2025. They beat the Hornets tonight 98-94 at home and are now only 2 games back of a 500 record at 16-18. This was a big win for a lot of reasons. One of them being the Pistons hadn't beaten the Hornets all season, who only have 7 wins to 26 losses. And in the 2 games they played, they only lost by a combined 3 points. Heartbreaking fashion. So it was good to finally get in the win column tonight against a team that we're just better than, especially considering the fact that the Hornets were without both LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. So with that being considered, I still expected the Pistons to win even though they were missing Jaden. So I initially feared that Jaden would miss the rest of the season, but JB Bickerstaff today said that he's confident that he will return this season, and he said that twice. This is good news for Jaden because the injury isn't as bad as we may have thought. So he's going to be just fine, and he's going to come back better than ever when he returns because he's a hard worker and he just loves to hoop. So now he can take his time to focus on just making a full recovery, and we may see him sooner than later. And tonight, Wendell Moore Jr. got the start in J.I.'s place. So, initial thoughts, right? This was a very strange game. Very weird game. It didn't have a lot of flow to it at all on either side. A very sloppy basketball game, which I expected, honestly. But what I didn't expect is for it to affect their defensive intensity because the Pistons just were sluggish defensively. On both ends, they were out of sync, and offensively, understandably so, but defensively, they just didn't bring the intensity. I think their offense affected their defense. They really didn't hit first tonight. They didn't set that defensive tone that I always talk about. And because of that, they were down 13 at halftime. And coming out of halftime, assistant coach Sidney Lowe said the Pistons need to, listen to this, get out to a fast start and make the Hornets call the first timeout. How many times have I talked about this? If you've been watching any of my videos, you know that I am very big on getting off to good starts. I say it all the time. Early in the season, the Pistons really struggled with getting off to good starts, and they would always have to be the team to call timeout. Sidney Lowe said at halftime that the Pistons have to get out to a fast start in the second half and make the Hornets call the first timeout. Trying to tell y'all, man, getting off to fast starts is so important, especially for a defensive team. If you're a defensive team and you get out in front, it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to finish those games because you play good defense. So to hear Coach Lowe say that was music to my ears because I'm always talking about that. And to the Pistons' credit, they did respond in the second half. They got themselves back into the game with energy and effort on defense. The Pistons were in position late to put this game away, and they did, but they made it so much more interesting than it had to be. They missed so many free throws. Both teams missed so many free throws. The Hornets missed 4 straight free throws, and then Asar missed 2 free throws when the Pistons were up 3. Kate missed a free throw when they were up 3. Tim Hardaway Jr. missed a free throw when they were up 3. He made the second, but they could have put this game away a lot sooner. But hey, a win is a win. Let's get to the box. Kate had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers, on 8 for 20 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. So Kate really didn't have a strong game. Most of our guys tonight really didn't have a strong game offensively. This was really a gutsy, muck it up defensive type of game, especially late. But Kate did enough. He didn't have a shot going. Obviously, he didn't shoot it well. And even his assist count was lower than usual at 5, but he only had 2 turnovers. So once again, he's still at that 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio that I always talk about. This is really just a defensive game. Kate missed a lot of shots that he usually makes, and he was in foul trouble all night long. The Hornets really did have a friendly whistle tonight. The Pistons did not get a lot of love from the officials, but the Hornets for some reason were getting every single call. But anyway, Kate was in foul trouble all night. He picked up his 4th foul early in the 3rd quarter, and the Pistons had to trust him to not pick up another foul. They left him in the game, but they had to do that because they didn't have Jaden to come in and run the offense. So does anybody still think that Cade and Jaden can't play together, or that Jaden doesn't make life easier on Cade on both ends of the court? I think it was pretty evident tonight how much easier he can make the game for Cade, but we'll get to that later. I got a lot to say about that. Starting in place for Jaden tonight was Wendell Moore, and he finished with 0 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, in 15 minutes on 0 for 3 shooting from the field, 0 for 2 from the 3-point. So listen, I like Wendell Moore Jr. I think he's a solid player, but I don't think he's the answer at the 2. JB Bickerstaff did say that this would be a fluid situation as far as their lineups, and I think it definitely needs to be that way after this game. Wendell Moore looked just a little bit tight. I do think he's a solid player, but I think I'd rather slide Tim Hardaway Jr. to the 2 and put either Ryan or Asar at the 3. You may lose a little bit of shooting with that. You know, Wendell was 0 for 3 tonight overall. You may lose a little bit of shooting, but you gain much more of a defensive impact, which is exactly what the Pistons need to focus on to open games, setting that defensive tone. And as a starter, you can't put up a donut. If you're not going to score any points at all, you need to be a defensive dog. I like Draymond Green. We've seen many games like that where he's got 2 points, but he's got 5 steals, 5 blocks, and a ton of assists, right? Just making an impact in another way. So for Wendell Moore tonight, to not score and to only have 3 assists and 2 steals to go along with that, no rebounds, no blocks, That's just not enough if you're going to start. So that's why I think the Pistons should keep this situation very fluid and make that adjustment, because you're not going to win a lot of games if one of your starters just doesn't score at all. The Pistons got away with it tonight because of who they were playing, but going forward, they're not going to be able to do that. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 11 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 3 of 10 shooting, 3 of 8 from 3, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. So Tim struggled tonight. Tim's shot was not going for him, but he made a lot of plays. Tim Hardaway does a lot of little things that can help this team, right? He's a team player. He's a streaky shooter, but he tries to play basketball the right way, right? Tonight, he didn't have a shot going, but defensively, he was very, very active, very, very engaged, trying to take charges, deflected passes, just trying to make things as uncomfortable as he can for the Hornets. And he did that tonight. So wasn't a great game from him, but he did enough for us to win this game for sure. Jalen Duren played a great game tonight. Great game tonight. Not from a stat sheet perspective, right? But from an effort perspective. He had 10 points tonight and 14 rebounds to go with it, with 1 assist, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers, 5 of 9 shooting overall. One of JD's best games of the season, definitely from a mental standpoint. He was doing things tonight I hadn't seen him do all season. The way he was talking and communicating, the way he was keeping his guys engaged and motivated, especially in that third quarter, telling his guys, come on, let's go, let's get it. Let's get back into this game. So I love to see that from JD. He definitely has a different swag about him right now. He did so many things well tonight defensively. But just his overall effort, his rebounding, his offensive rebounding, offensive tap outs, giving the Pistons more possessions. He played good individual defense. He was getting all the way up on screens, deflecting passes on the roll, good help side defense, causing turnovers. He looked as good tonight defensively as we have seen all season. And this is, once again, I say all the time, guys, every player's learning curve is not the same, whether it's mental or whether it's schematic or whether it's physical. Every player's learning curve is different. And I think a lot of fans got a little bit too impatient with Jalen Duren, understandably so, but to the point of wanting to do something hasty like move him right now for no reason. It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. And if you've been watching, you have never heard me say anything about moving Jalen Duren. What I have said about Jalen Duren is that he needs to improve, but that he has time to do so because he's 21 years old on his 3rd coach in 3 years. And I understand other players have had that situation as well, but every player is different. Jalen Duren was great tonight. He focused on the defensive side of the ball, and he was able to get opportunities as a result on the offensive side of the ball. So what he did tonight is what I want to see from him all season. Anchor that defense, right? Take pride in defending that end of the floor. Make that your home. Set up shop there. That's what I want to see him do on the defensive end, in the way he was quarterbacking the defense tonight as well, calling out screens, doing a lot of things that Rasheed Wallace used to do when he was here for the Detroit Pistons. I'm not saying he's Rasheed, but tonight he was doing a lot of the things I used to see Rasheed Wallace do. And don't forget, JD was coached by Rasheed Wallace, along with Larry Brown and Penny Hardaway at Memphis. So who knows? Maybe Rasheed gave him a call and kept it real with him. But regardless of the reason, he looked great tonight. I think more and more he's buying in to what he needs to be for this team. My boy King made a great point the other day in our last live stream. Go check that out. But King said that Jalen Duren needs to understand the difference between what he can offer and what the Pistons need from him. We understand that Jalen Duren has the potential to be a very good offensive player, and he has a lot of natural ability. But the Pistons right now need for him to be a defensive anchor. And it seemed like early on he was struggling with that. But now he appears to really be committing to that end of the floor. And as a result, the Pistons are winning games. So I'm pretty sure that he can see the correlation there. I'm not saying it's all on him, because it's not. But him doing his part, him playing his role, will go a long way for the Pistons to continue to win basketball games this season and beyond. And I think going forward, we're going to see more of this Jalen Duren than the version we saw the first 33 games of the season. I think we're going to see a more engaged Jalen Duren for the rest of the season. Maybe not like how it was tonight, but something close to tonight, I think, is what we're going to see for the rest of the season. And if he does, he's going to be on his way to being a really good basketball player. Tobias Harris, man, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover, 9 of 16 shooting, 4 or 5 from 3, 2 or 2 from the free throw line. So guys, as you guys know, I've been kind of hard on Tobias Harris this season. I felt when he arrived here that he would give us more production offensively than what he was providing, and I thought he would be a solid defender. And to start the season, while the output offensively wasn't what I thought it would be, he was still doing things like rebounding the basketball, getting between 6 to 10 rebounds a game. And then he kind of tailed off, and he wasn't really giving us much scoring, and he wasn't really getting on the boards or giving us much on the defensive end. He was trying, but he wasn't impactful, right? I always talk about impact. And I think he hit his low of the season on that Western Conference road trip, when his highest scoring game on that trip was 10 points. And I said that that's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. For what we expected, it just wasn't enough. And I understand that he's a great off the court presence for this team and he's a great leader for this team. but he also was brought here to get buckets, right? And he just wasn't doing that. So now the last 2 games, he has been giving us both. He's been giving us scoring, and he's been giving us rebounding, and he's also giving us other things. He's giving us blocks. He's getting steals. He got a steal at half court and took it coast to coast for a dunk. Tobias Harris, these last 2 games, looks like the Tobias Harris I was hoping we were going to get in the offseason. He just looks so much better across the board, man. His shooting, his defense, he was efficient. 9 for 16 shooting. He did it all tonight. And I think he understands now more than ever that he really has to pick it up offensively with Jaden out. And tonight he delivered, man. This is exactly what we need from Tobias Harris on a regular basis. Maybe not 24 points, right? But between 15 and 20 points at least we need from Tobias every night. And the 10 rebounds are great. That's great. You'll take that every day of the week. So once again, just like with JD, if we get this type of output from Tobias as well, the Pistons will be in the play-in and playoffs this season. Malik Beasley had 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 5 for 16 shooting, 1 of 10 from 3. Yikes. 1 of 1 from the free throw line. This was Beasley's worst shooting game of the year. He could not get anything to fall tonight. A lot of his shots looked online. They just did not fall. It was just simply one of those games from Malik Beasley. And that's okay. That's okay. That's going to happen. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary, right? The way he played tonight, if he would have made 7 or 8 of those shots that he missed, we'd all be saying he played great. Right? He played the same way he usually does. He just couldn't get shots to fall. That's why I'm not even upset with him, because every player goes through that. You're not going to shoot the ball well every single night. But as long as you try to play the same way, play to who you are, play to your strengths, play your role, I'm okay with that. And that's what he did tonight. And it's just one of those nights for him. And thankfully, the Pistons were still able to get a win despite that. Asar Thompson had 4 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 turnovers in 14 minutes on 2 of 3 shooting. 0 for 2 from the free throw line. So Asar didn't play great tonight. He only played 14 minutes. It still looks like he's trying to find his way offensively with that second unit. And there are a few times where he just looked out of place, or he would throw kind of an errant pass, and he just didn't look comfortable. But it wasn't for lack of trying. I just think he's still trying to find his way, get his legs under him, and then figure out his role for this team. And that's not going to be easy. The lineups are going to be fluid. So he may be shuffling around a little bit. So there are going to be some bumps in the road for Asar this season, because we have to remember, just because he's been back for a month doesn't mean that he's shaking all the rust off. He didn't play for 8 months. That's a long time. I don't think we should expect him to just come out of the gate swinging. It may take him another month or so to really get back to the player that he was before he went out. Ron Holland had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist on 4-8 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3-point. So that brings me to something I wanted to get to as far as the starting lineup. I think Ron Holland needs to start, whether at the 2 or the 3. Ron Holland is a tone setter, man. He rebounds the ball well. He can push the ball. He can turn defense into offense very, very well. He never gives up on plays. He had a few offensive rebounds where it looked like the Hornets had secured the ball, and he just got his hand in there and got a steal and got a bucket. If you notice, the crowd reception for whenever he comes in or goes out of a game is always very loud, right? Fans really appreciate his effort and tough play. And once again, I think he can help the Pistons to get off to fast starts with the defense. Every time he comes into the game, he makes an impact. He's an impactful player. And his jump shot is looking better and better and better now. You can see the growth. He only shot 1 for 3 tonight, but his jump shot looks much better, and the quality of his shots are much better as well. They're in rhythm. A lot of time he's just catching and shooting. I think the move is starting Tim Hardaway Jr. at the 2 and pushing around to the 3. That way you have a defensive unit, and you still got some shooting with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris and, of course, Cade. Isaiah freaking Stewart, man. Model of consistency. Model of consistency. He had what may have been, in my opinion, the block of the year on Cody Martin. It was absolutely ridiculous. He had a chase down block as well, which was very, very impressive. And Isaiah Stewart is a rock for this team. He always plays with a motor that runs hot, sprinting down the floor on defense and offense. He was guarding the pick and roll well. He's just an enforcer, man. He's an enforcer for this team, and he's a tone setter. You guys are probably tired of hearing me saying that, but he is a tone setter. The Pistons need tone setters on this team. For Stu to not be a high-end athlete and to only be 6'8", he is an incredible rim protector. It is incredible the things that he can do at his size. His timing is incredible, not just on blocking shots, but also on guarding the pick and roll when he has to guard 2 guys at once, and he's hedging at the guard and then falling back as the guard throws up the lob, and he's either stealing it or knocking it away. Like, the things he does on defense is just insane. Insane. I think he definitely needs some consideration for all-team NBA. Whether you want to put him on the first, second, or third team, I don't care. But just put him on the team because he deserves to be there. And like I said before, man, this is why all the Isaiah Stewart rumors that seem to happen every single year, I pay no attention to. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon because he is a Detroit Piston through and through. through and through. And you always need guys on your team who are going to embody what you are. And I think he embodies Detroit Pistons basketball as much as anybody on this team. Marcus Sasser had 3 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers on 1 of 5 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3 in 22 minutes. It looked like Sasser was really just trying to find his way tonight. I'm not sure what the Pistons really expect or are looking for Sasser to be with J.I. out, but he just looked out of sync. He didn't look like he was really comfortable offensively. He did get 5 shots up, only 1 fell. He knocked down a 3. But aside from that, he just really didn't seem comfortable. And he didn't seem to play with a lot of intention tonight offensively. Defensively, he was okay. He was playing hard. But offensively, it's going to take some work as far as figuring out what his role is going to be. I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. Paul Reed had 2 points, 1 assist, 2 steals. Didn't take any shots, but he made both his free throws in 5 minutes. So Paul Reed surprisingly didn't play a lot. I thought he would have played more than 5 minutes because when he did play, he was effective. But he played sound defense. And tonight's game was all about defense. So the Pistons currently sit at 9th place in the Eastern Conference at 16-18. They're a half game back of the Indiana Pacers for the A spot, who are 17-18. And the Pistons are on pace right now to win 37 games. I personally had the Pistons at 34 wins this season, and they're on pace to get there. Here's what's going to have to happen if they're going to do that. And now let's revisit what I said earlier and talk about Jaden's impact for a second. Tonight, I noticed whenever Cade Cunningham goes to the bench, the offense struggles. I saw it with the first and the second unit because Jaden plays with both, and he's impactful on both ends. Don't forget, Jaden slides to the 1 when Cade sits down and runs the offense because they're staggered. There's usually always one of them in the game at all times. Did you notice how sloppy the passing was when Cade would go to the bench? When Cade sat down, the lineup the Pistons had was Marcus Sasser, Tim Hardaway Jr., Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren. No point guard. So they were trying tonight to do it by committee. Listen, Marcus Sasser is a bucket, but he's not a true point guard who can orchestrate the offense right now. So like I've said many times, Jaden Ivey is so important to this team and his presence is going to be missed. It's definitely going to be missed. And I think now finally a lot of fans are really going to understand how important and valuable he is to this team. I know we won tonight. We beat the Hornets. Let's keep that in mind. And it was a tough win against the Hornets. When Cade went to the bench, nobody on the floor looked comfortable with the ball in their hands. Nobody. The offense was completely stagnated. So I hope you get it now. You see how much more fluid the offense is when he's in the game. The Pistons aren't struggling to get buckets all night whenever Cade isn't in the game. That was the case tonight. And with that being said, the Pistons are really going to have to hang their hat on defense. Because the Pistons already, even with Jaden, are not an offensive force, right? But without him, they struggle to score, especially without Cade on the floor. So they're really going to have to lock in and tighten up on that defensive end, which is why, once again, I hope they start Ron Holland or Asar Thompson at the 3 going forward with THJ at the 2. And personally, I think JB Biggerstaff should give Danis Jenkins a shot. If you don't know the name, go look him up. He's a super athletic guard. He straps up defensively. He can surprise you with his offense. And he takes pretty good care of the basketball. I saw him up close and personal with King earlier this season at Wayne State for the Pistons open practice. But before that, he had my attention way back in Summer League. I think the Pistons should give him a shot, and hopefully he gets his chance, because I think he can really help the Pistons when Cade goes to the bench until Jaden Ivey comes back. But what did you guys see in tonight's game that I may have missed? Let me know down below and let's talk about it. Appreciate you hanging with your boy. And as always, Detroit versus everybody. Peace.